Take two. Squad up, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of The Squad. We are back. Happy to be back. This week we will be continuing our list, our alphabets of spiritual warfare. And then after that, we're going to get into some things that God has revealed to us regarding spiritual warfare.
Yeah, man.
Some very deep things. Some things that I knew about, but never really, I didn't know this much. So, first, how are you?
I am trying to find, sometimes you open up the Bible app and they start talking because it goes to the video at the message. I was like, okay. I'm trying to find this particular passage, but I keep closing the app. But I'm good. Like I said, mental health wise, now that I got access to my off days, I be getting about that thing. Cause currently, my job gonna be real sad because I ain't gonna be at the majority of the month of February. I already been off since last Tuesday. I go back tomorrow to make up some hours. I miss Sunday. And then I get off on the 22nd. I don't go back to March 4th.
So, well, we ain't got but a week left in February anyway. No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, but I ain't gonna be here for a week. I don't care. I was locked up for since November in training with no off days. Nah, I gotta go. I got family to see, relationships to build, friends to fool with. Good, bro. And I need to catch some sleep because Verizon, killing me. Love y'all though. Appreciate y'all resources. But y'all will not run my life. I will not let any job run my life ever again.
Facts.
So that's what I'm at. I'm cooling, chilling, learning more about communication and communication styles again, as far as relationships are concerned, which is a very interesting time. Because when you learn how to communicate or communicate better than you did when you were younger, you don't have arguments. You have tense discussion. And I actually appreciate it because there's still conversation being had. It's not no yelling. It ain't no back and forth on who knows more type stuff. Who trying to get the last word. Nah, this hurt me. This is how I'm feeling. This is why. It's positive. It's tense. But it's a positive form. Compared to what I used to do when I was younger. Because I used to react to people's emotions bad. And I used to bottle mine up a lot. So, I used to spaz when folks come at me wrong. On the wrong day. And I probably spaz for a good reason. However, they don't deserve all that smoke. You got built up smoke. Let the chimney open. It's too much.
Let the chimney open.
Yeah, man. I had learned I was giving folks smoke that they ain't deserve. But then they came to me on the wrong day, and that was my excuse. So when I fired off, I probably had some smoke built up from them that I was just load the clip, let it pop, 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 let it fire off. But now I'm learning, listen, you don't need to be a semi-automatic. Sometimes you need to be a sniper shot. Just poof, one shot.
I'm learning that too, especially so my last day of work is tomorrow. And then
Pray
after
God.
that, I'm going to work somewhere else. And I thank God for where I'm going to work because I'm going to enjoy it. There are things that I want to do. So, and it still gives me time to do this and do my
be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, be an entrepreneur and also to rest.
That's so important.
Because working with children is. Working with other people's children is tiring because you can't pop them like you want to.
Speaking of that,
which it doesn't mean that popping is right, but sometimes
some
children just need to be popped.
Corporal punishment.
Listen, I wouldn't mind it being back in school. I understand. I know people don't need to misuse it, but also.
Hey, some of these kids need it.
There's value to a village.
Man.
and I think a lot of millennial parents have lost sight of that. And don't be doing this to my child. Don't be, and ain't nobody trying to hurt your child. Your child needs to know there's consequences to their actions.
Ain't got no discipline.
Ain't got no discipline. Y'all, and I get it. Y'all want to understand positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement has to take place consistently. If you want to incorporate that, it can still be done even with popping, because what your child also needs to understand is with every negative action comes a negative reaction. With every positive action comes a positive reaction, or a positive consequence, negative consequence, however you want to say it. But there is going to be one. And how I see it is, if your child is doing something that could potentially harm them and they keep doing it after you done told them to stop, pop them on their little hand. You ain't got to beat them. Just pop them on their little hand and let them know. When you're doing something, think of Pavlov's dog and operant conditioning, and think about how basically they are equating that stimuli to that thing. They're saying like, okay, this is equivalent to me getting hurt. This is equivalent to me hurting myself, which is basically teaching them, if I do this, I could get hurt.
So why you think God let us go through stuff?
Exactly.
Because He told you.
Exactly.
And you don't want to listen.
And that ties into a question that was asked when we posted that question, or when you posted that question in the group me. Somebody asked something about why are there parents who want to parent according to the Bible? It's because if you really know who God is and understand who God is, you understand that He is a parent, and you understand that the way He leads you through life, one, He takes His parenting seriously because it is leadership. A lot of parents miss out on the fact that parenting is leadership. You're not just having a child just to say you have a child. You're not supposed to be using your child as a pawn in no relationship.
Or a tax refund.
Or a tax refund. You're not supposed to be using it to keep somebody. You're not supposed to be using your child to do anything that y'all use your children for. And your children are not there to just, I want a child so I can be loved. No, that's not what your child is for.
Especially when I done seen when single mothers be having sons.
Yeah, that's not the man of the house. Y'all chill out on all that. As a parent, you are in a position of leadership. You need to be very aware of how you are leading them. Yes, I agree with leading your child according to the Bible, because what the Bible teaches is principles that are necessary for life, that are necessary for interacting with other people. You have to operate in a way, in your parenting, you have to operate in a way that says, I understand that the way that I handle this child will have an effect on somebody else. And I've learned that is a big thing that I have learned. Teach child in the way that they should go, and they'll never depart from it. That's what the word says. And so however you teach your child is the way that they will go, and they will not depart from it. So if you teach your child in a negative way, if you teach your child negative principles, they won't depart from it. That's what they're going to go. Unless God intervenes, unless God walks into their life.
I need to put a notepad on that for later on when we talk.
Okay.
Sticky note.
And I believe God walks into everybody's life. But we have to have the eyes to see Him, the ears to hear Him, the heart to understand Him. And that comes from having praying parents who pray for us to have that. Or somebody praying in our lives for us to have that. And for people just praying for us to have those encounters with God. But, yes, train your child in the way that they should go, and they'll never depart from it. And so what I've really learned as a teacher and in teaching toddlers who are still learning how to operate, because everything that they have right now is based on what they have at home. And so if you are allowing certain things at home, they are taking that with them. Now, some children act one way at home and act a whole different way at school. I get that too. I witnessed that. But be very aware of what you are doing at home, what you are sowing into your child. Are you sowing love? Or are you sowing hatred? Because your child is watching you. Always be aware that your child is watching you. Always be aware that the enemy uses your children. Sometimes the enemy uses your children or gets to your children through you. You don't even know it. And that's why you have to be able to protect yourself spiritually, which is just a part of spiritual warfare. One thing that God has really revealed to me is how God is how how the enemy gets to children. And he doesn't do it as soon as the child is born. He does it before. He does it before by getting to you. Just like he got to you by getting to your mama. He got to your mama by getting to her folks. And that's how generational curses come about. And so you have to be vigilant and be able to understand things from a spiritual perspective and understand, okay, what am I doing? How is the enemy moving in my life? How is the enemy trying to move through me? How is the enemy trying to move through me, and how can this affect my child?
Mm-hmm.
And then once it affects them, how is that going to affect somebody else in the world? Your child can be out here stressing folk out because of something that you didn't teach them. Giving people hell because of something you didn't teach them. Or because of something that you did teach them that you didn't even think about. And what God's word teaches us is how to be, as parents, how to be loving, how to be kind, how to be respectful, how to have patience, how to have joy, how to understand that joy does not come from the world. Joy comes from Him. How to understand peace and how to have peace.
Mm-hmm.
How to be respectful, how to honor your parents, how to honor authority, how to understand leadership. If you're going to take leadership advice from anybody, why not take it from the creator of the world?
The first leader.
The first leader.
Should be leading you, period, but you know how that works.
And that's something to take into consideration. What you are led by is what will also lead your children if you are not careful.
And something that I was taking notes of, the reason I said sticky note, because the key part about train your child up in the way they should go. Also, side note, when I was talking about single mothers and sons, I'm not talking about all single mothers and sons. I have just seen instances to where some single mothers, not all, but a certain percentage,
my king,
their son is their king, their son is their husband, their son is their boyfriend. They may not say it all the time, but there are some sickos that say some similar stuff.
They do say it, yeah.
But
not everybody would. Yeah.
But you treat a child, not even a young adult, a child, as the head of your household. So I'm twisted about that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about the way we was talking about parenting and how parents have to train a child up the way they should go. Get back on topic. Sometimes I have learned that parents do not, well, some parents need to understand it's more than just your direct parenting that a child is learning from.
Oh yeah, it's how you interact with other people. It's how you talk to folks. If you gossip, your child is gonna start gossiping, gonna tell all your business.
And it's not even that from that lens I'm looking at it. It's this form of indirect learning, as far as the environment is concerned.
Yeah.
Because one thing I was thinking about just in my own personal experiences of how
dysfunction becomes normal.
That too. That's been my life for all majority of my life. But it's also when you look at how your parents move when it comes to just me personally. Like my particular struggle, and we're gonna talk about later when it comes to spiritual warfare, is the mindset of I'm gonna do it on my own mentality, based off having to adapt to your environment. Your children can pick that up from you, and if it's not done in a positive way or through how God wants you to do it, because sometimes we lean on ourselves so much that we forget that God told us stuff, or we need to lean back on God and things. The child will pick up those same tactics, same environmental adaptability structures. Okay, and the thing about it is we start doing it to God too. Like, okay, I prayed, let me go try to figure this out.
Right.
But you do that because you saw your mama do it. Saw your dad do it. Saw your grandma do it. You had to do it because these individuals did not do it for you.
Yeah. And
children pick up on that. Same way how you start seeing little kids just going into the refrigerator now, picking out stuff out of the refrigerator. They watch you how to go into the refrigerator, but you never went and got them they meant when they needed it. So they ended up, you learn how to walk a little bit. I can grab a little bit. They all in the fridge. pulling out the milk, dragging across the floor.
Yeah.
Pour it on their own.
Something that was always interesting for me to watch is like this little girl, her mama do hair. And so she would like, they had little play phones in the classroom, and so she would take one of the phones, put it on her ear, and like, you know how you hold the phone between your ear and your shoulder, and she would be playing in somebody else's hair while she acting like she's talking to somebody. And again, what that showed me was people, like you said, children pick up on their environment. Yep. They pick up on exactly what they see, and it's not always about you directly parenting. It could be something as simple, like you said, as your environment, is how you answer the phone, how you talk on the phone, how you present, how you move, how you move in relationships, how your child sees you move in relationships if you're a single parent. Mm-hmm. You got to take all of that into consideration when raising children, because again, you are leading a generation. And that is the lens that I really need parents to understand. And you can see that in the Bible. You can look at particularly Abraham. When God spoke to Abraham, you can look at how he was supposed to be leading. He is leading a nation. Mm-hmm. Even David, he operated in a certain way. They both operated in certain ways because they knew they were responsible for leading a nation. They are leading a generation. They are leading one generation into the next generation, and whatever they pour into this generation, they are then responsible for pouring into the generation after and after and after. Now, with David's situation, some things got messed up a little bit.
He's responsible.
He's responsible, and he took accountability for that. And then after that, not every king, but a lot of kings after him was messing up.
Including Solomon.
Yes.
His own son.
Yes.
Son took some daddy tendencies.
Yes.
I mean, because I think from what I read in the Bible, Solomon had some concubines.
Yes.
Several.
Yes, he did.
I mean, I don't think he murdered nobody like his daddy did.
No. But
he made sure to have more than one. But tendencies, habits, things you see.
Yes. So, yeah, that was just a rant about parenting, or just a side note about parenting. I didn't really expect to talk about that, but
it's just
if God wanted it to be shared, then okay. But yeah, with all that to say, I'm quitting my job, and my last day is tomorrow. And then I'm getting ready to work elsewhere. But I do thank God for some of the things that I've learned while being there. So on to these alphabets.
We stopped at I.
Okay.
Because I had to count. I remember we did 9.
Yes. So, I...
So we on J, I think.
No, because we didn't get to do I, because I don't even remember reading all these.
Let me see.
Oh, yes, we did, because I said inhibitions, and somehow...
So read them off. We'll just start at
I. Okay, so idolatry.
Idolatry was one.
Yeah. Ignorance, immaturity.
Yup.
Incest, indifference, inhibitions, iniquity, insecurity, and insults. And we talked about how...
I said ignorance was the one that came next to a lot of those.
Yeah.
What you see today, though? Because, today a new day. What will be your eye today?
Insults. Oh, it's some more in here that I'm still reading.
Is more eyes?
Yeah. So it's insults, interference. We can talk about interference. Actually, what I've got to talk about today is it has something to do with interference.
Interference?
Yeah. Invincible obstructions.
Is that all one thing? Invincible instructions?
Invincible obstructions.
Obstructions.
Yes.
Wow. Wait. Invincible obstructions. So you can't break them down? That's crazy.
Invisible barriers. Okay, the ones you can't see.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Extrinsic and intrinsic. You know what? We gonna have to talk about the Illuminati today.
No, we're not. Say that for another time. While we over here talking about psychology terms.
Irritations. Yeah, that's where it stops. That's where I stop.
Oh, that word.
Irritation.
Not even irritation, because when people be saying I'm irritable. Ugh.
But you be taking on this, and that's something that God did reveal to me about, like, just when we say certain things and we don't realize that when we say those things, we're taking on those spirits.
Power in the tongue.
But what he began to reveal to me, because you know how we were talking about horoscopes and stuff like that. So the reason why is because you take on the spirit of that thing. You take on the spirit of the Taurus, or you take on.
I'm a Capricorn.
You take the spirit of the Capricorn, and that means you take on every demon attached to it. You take on that demon of pride that's attached to being a Capricorn. You take on that demon of, when you say I am, you take that.
Yep.
And so that's why
Tyree's fault, because he sung it. I'm mad.
And you gotta stop. And now that we know, we're responsible for it. We're responsible for, like, we can't get into it anymore. And so I can't say that, because that means that attaches the spirit of gluttony that's attached to being a Taurus. That attaches that spirit of or that means that it comes with that spirit of lust that's attached to being a Taurus. That spirit of greed, that spirit of stubbornness or pride. Mm-hmm. It takes on all of that. That spirit of laziness. And so it's not that stuff ain't cute. Mm-mm.
And at the same time,
and that's the I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And that's the reason why you say, like, that does match. Now that I think about it, it's because you're speaking it over yourself.
Yeah. I don't want to be a sea goat.
And
I'm just saying, I don't. Like, think about it. If you think about signs, and everybody be like, "Oh, that's cool." I'm a sea goat.
But these and what it is
I'm not a sea goat.
These are actually demons.
Yep.
The Taurus is a demon. The Capricorn is a demon. The Sagittarius is a demon.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about what they are, like their imagery, they're demons.
Demons.
If you really look at them.
Ooh, now mine ain't gonna get into that.
Some of them are water spirits, water demons.
No, I was gonna say
some of them demons of the earth.
Some of them are Nephilim.
Some of them Nephilim. Some of them demons of the earth. Some of them demons of fire. Some of them demons of the air.
Cause you ain't gonna tell me Sagittarius. Come on now.
My goodness.
Aries. That's named after.
Yeah. And so those things are demons, and there are demons attached to demons.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a whole clique.
They
be clicked up.
Oh yeah, and we gonna get into that too.
Be shooting for one. It's 5 on.
But if there's some clarity on like the horoscopes and stuff and why, because you take on those demons, all those spirits that are attached to said demon, and of course all of that goes against God and who God says you are in God's word. And then also I saw something that talked about like going to psychics and stuff like that. Like if you go to a psychic, and the reason why they don't really know the future, they're talking to demons that are trying to destroy you. And so what'll end up happening is they'll say this thing. They'll say, "Oh, this is gonna happen to you." And what ends up happening is you receive that. And once you receive it, what happens in the spirit realm is once you receive, and this ties into horoscope, what happens in the spirit realm is once you receive that, that gives that demon legal authority to do whatever it wants to do in your life.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, like when it comes to what I was looking at. It blanked out on me. Probably don't need to talk about it. Probably too deep.
Okay.
But it was coming from something to do with psychics. Oh, got it. So the entertainment of, or I would say, how a lot of people who do readings or feel like they entertain certain spirits, i.e., I entertain the ancestors.
Oh, those are actually demons too.
That's what I was going to say. Because the thing about it is,
demons taking on their familiar spirits. This
familiar,
we're going to talk about
exactly.
Too.
And I'm like, you got to think about how spirits really work. If your ancestor is passed on, it's supposed to be 2 places they can go. We can even talk about, some people talk about purgatory. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But like I said last time on the podcast, let's just think about this. Black people. Let's talk about it. American blacks.
True.
Colonial blacks. European, wherever you get. Let's talk about it. Do you really think your ancestor who went through slavery and mass genocide and might be in a better place want to come back here to talk to you? Let's be practical. Why would I, who may have gone to heaven and is in the greatest place, want to come back to earth where I went through the most hell to talk to you?
I'm not concerned with the things of this earth. I trust that God got you.
Because you got to think about it. If that was you, and you were a so-called spirit, would you? No. So who you talking to?
Unless God is commanding me as an angel, which even then He is going to, I'm gonna have a different form. You might not be able to know that it's me. He might not even be commanding me to talk to you. He might be commanding me
to be over somebody else.
Exactly.
Just like, you gotta think about it. Like, to be practical, who are you talking to? Like, people do not really understand the real spiritual nature of entertaining demons.
Yeah. It goes very deep. It goes as deep as your ancestors. You thinking that you're talking to your ancestors, but really you are talking to a familiar spirit that knows how to shape shift into something that you can recognize or somebody.
In order to make it easier to infiltrate.
It's manipulation. It's deceit. It's deception.
But that's an enemy tactic. Double agents. Anything you talk about military tactics. If I can go in and change my shape or form, or I say disguise myself as a part of the infantry of your army and destroy you from the inside, that's an easier task than having to do a whole fight.
And the wild thing is, if you want to think about it from let's talk about that from a practical standpoint. Double agents are also considered to be not just familiar spirits but monitoring spirits. There could be a monitoring spirit attached to that friend in your life, and every time you tell them something about your next move, that next move mess up.
That's why they always tell you guard your heart, but also not just guard your heart. You gotta watch who you talk to about what God tell you.
Exactly. You have to be very, and I'm learning this. You have to be very careful. You have to hold what God shares with you close to your heart. These are intimate conversations between you and the Father. You have to hold them dear, and you can't let everybody in on that. You have to be very careful about who you're letting, because everybody that's in your life, I'm sorry to tell you, everybody in your life is not who you think they are. And even if they are,
the demons that they might be entertaining or might be attached to them.
Because you may not know, and then that's something else that God helped me understand. Like you may not know that there is most times you won't know that there's a monitoring spirit attached to you or a familiar spirit attached to you, and you won't know it because your guard is down. When your guard is down though there are these demons, we have a role in letting them in. How do we let them in? Sin.
Yep. And
though we have sinful nature, when you stay in your word, when you're able to stay in your word and really allow God to move in your heart, the Holy Spirit to move in your heart the way that it wants to, what ends up happening is you become less concerned with the things of this world and really less concerned with sin, because you begin to see sin with different eyes. And once you do that, once you get to that space, yes, temptation will still come. Yeah. But because now that you are aware, you are you're held responsible for it now. Yep. And I kind of think that's why it comes harder, because the devil is like, alright, yeah, you know this, but I'm gonna get you because you know better. Because now you really gonna be held accountable, just like because when you think about it, I saw something that was really made me think. The reason why Satan will never be forgiven is because he didn't have a tempter. He just did. He made the choice. Yeah. And so it's different. God is able to forgive us because we didn't know any better.
You want to know something wild that just came to me?
But now that we know better, we are very responsible. But God still forgives. But you just what you opened up was
I don't want to say I understand the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw something for a second. I was like, no wonder he's salty.
Yeah.
Like, bruh,
you the reason.
He can't be forgiven even if he wanted to.
At all. Because you made the choice.
And he mad that you can be. Not only in case you can be, he sent somebody down
because of you.
He sent somebody down to make sure.
Yes.
And he didn't do that for him. He just said, boop, gone. And he is upset and running rampant, trying to get as many of us as possible, because if I can ruin your favorites, I win. In his mind, I'm gonna lose regardless.
Exactly.
But if I can take as many with me,
and that's what God revealed to me. You just trying to take as many as you can, because misery loves company.
Amen. You know how lonely you probably was at first before all the wrestling lanes got thrown out. Think about it. Can't none of us be forgiven, but you forgiving these folks this thing you made out of dirt?
Cause you're the reason.
I'm better than them. I was in heaven doing this, and this. Only thing I said was I might be better than you. But you gonna forgive them? They do this, that, and the third. But you gonna forgive them? I'ma ruin them. Since you love them so much.
Because you tempt us to do it.
Listen.
And even then, you are held even more accountable. And even then, what I really want to say real quick, God revealed something to me, and I really want to do this, be very transparent. I am so sorry for anybody that I have led astray in my darkness. Anybody that I have led into witchcraft, anybody that I have led into questioning witchcraft, questioning God, looking into horoscopes and crystals and all of that. I am deeply, deeply sorry. I don't want to be... Like, I take accountability for that and for where I was at that time. But I am not that person anymore. And I really just ask for God's forgiveness. And I ask for your forgiveness as well. Because you may be in that space. And you are in that dark space. And you don't realize it. And I am very sorry.
And they more concerned about you saying you switched up rather than understanding you just learned.
And I am... deeply, deeply sorry. Because that was wrong with me. Even though I did not know, I'm still responsible. And I am very sorry. And it is my prayer that y'all ask me what happened in my life. And ask me how to seek God and how to know more about God, because I would love to share it with you. Because I allowed the enemy in, and I allowed the enemy to have me in a broken place and to lead others into that broken place. And I'm very sorry for that. But let me tell you something, the devil ain't gonna get me like that no more. Because I'm not gonna let him. Because again, I acknowledge that there are people connected to me. And there are people watching me. And I have a responsibility to you all. And so my promise to God is to treat myself better so that I may love others better. His word tells me one of his greatest commandments is for me to love others as I love myself. Mm-hmm. But in order for that to happen, I have to love me better. And in loving me better, my way of loving me better is seeking God, because I know the value of my spirit, and I know the value of God in living in me, in living through me, and having that love in my life. I know the value of having Jesus in my life. And that is my way of treating me better, so that I may treat you all better, so that I may love y'all better. Because also what God has revealed to me is, again, we can have these spirits attached to us and we don't even know. Or these spirits can be moving through us and we don't even know. And so one spirit that has been revealed to me, that has moved through me, is the Jezebel spirit. And it's not just because, when people say Jezebel, you think sex. And it's not just
stronger than that.
It's so much more than that. The evil personality traits of a Jezebel spirit include pure evil and hate, vile, maximum pride, highly lustful and seductive, highly self-centered and narcissistic, always seek to be the center of attention, very judgmental, critical, condescending, and demeaning, overly demanding and manipulating, cold, ruthless, cunning, calculating, very combative and confrontational, very good at lying and cheating, cannot stand any type of constructive criticism, hates all prophets, prayer, and anything to do with spiritual warfare, and will be capable of giving false prophecies, visions, and dreams. Now, this not to say I am a liar or anything like that, but I've told a few lies, not on the show or anything, but like I've said a few lies in my time. But I've also just been very self-centered, and I used to attribute that to being the only child. I never thought like, oh, this spirit is connected to me. But now that I like really am growing to understand spirituality and how demons operate, I can see it. The maximum pride, I can see it. The highly lustful and seductive, I can see it. If you know me, you can see it too. Very judgmental, critical, condescending. I knew how to do it. I knew how to make it look nice. Very combative and confrontational. I used to enjoy a good back and forth.
Yes, you did. Oh my God, yes you did. One of your homegirls did too. Y'all used to go back and forth as a tag team. And I have sat and witnessed it, and I was like, good God, ain't nothing else y'all want to do? I remember that.
Cold, ruthless, and cunning. As far as cold goes, I see it more in, I've seen it more in how I've handled children. No, I'm not, like, abusive or anything, but, like, I can get real cold on a child, like, get real distant. And that's just because that spirit was moving through me. And I didn't even know, like, remnants of that spirit was still there until very recently. And I'm in prayer about it at the moment. But, yeah. That's where I am right now with that. And again, I just pray that y'all would forget, well, first that God forgives me, but I know that I'm already forgiven, and I thank him for just revealing to me that that's something that was a thing. But yeah, you can have these spirits attached to you and just not know. And so it is very vital that we stay in prayer. And we stay in prayer for our friends, because our friends can have these spirits on us and on them and not know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not to say that your friend means for your downfall. Oftentimes where the responsibility lies for us is us not knowing that there's a sin. Well, no, I won't say that. Us not being aware of our weak spots. And once God makes us aware of our weak spots, we still place ourselves in position to be able to give in to those weaknesses.
Mm-hmm. Because it's comfortable.
And so that's how the enemy is able to kind of get a foothold. If it can find like one little area where you messing up in, that'll be just enough for him to send one of his demons to make it even worse. And then send demons connected to that.
Send him and his homeboys.
Basically. And so that's like, what scripture is it? Is it Matthew or Mark? There's a scripture where they talk about the driving out of the demons. But it's like you're driving them out from a house, and they go and they wander, and then they come back and they bring 7 more with them. And the reason for that is once those demons are driven out, once God drives those demons out, or once you command them to leave, once you bind them and rebuke them in the name of Jesus, you have to invite the Holy Spirit in to take their place, to take up and come in and clean up the remnants, to clean all of that up, to make sure that they don't have an opening or an entryway back into your house. Because if they come back, they will bring more.
That's why when you fall into certain bad habits, I'm gonna be transparent, because God told me about the podcast. I know he was talking about you with spirits and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He's been really teaching me about being transparent as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Because, or things that you dealt with as much as possible. And one of the things I know I used to have a big problem with, and I'm constantly battling on a daily basis, because some things don't leave. It's just the temptation is always there. Yeah. Sexual immorality, mm-hmm, and porn addiction. Mm-hmm. You cast it out one time. When I thought I was over with it, finally went, just decided I wasn't gonna do it no more. Mm-hmm. Right? Got into certain spaces to where I was like, okay, I'm getting stressed out. That's when I learned that stress was a key indicator. Mm-hmm. It got harder. Then learned more about how addiction works. Mm-hmm. It got harder, mm-hmm, and harder. Every time I learned something new on how to help myself, it got harder. Mm-hmm. It got heavier. It got more frequent. It used to be random. It was like that. Because when you're young, it's just like, okay, parents ain't looking. Yeah. Hit the Google real quick. Not the Google. My bad. I'm going to take it back. AOL dial up. Yeah, that's what I was doing. I know I aged myself because everybody on Wi-Fi. It wasn't like that always. Dinner. You got mail. Imagine trying to... Bro, you know how bad it is as a little kid trying to look up porn on dial-up?
Oh my god, I don't know that.
They're good because you grew up in a better generation. How about that?
I was watching HBO.
Real sex. I caught that when we finally got charter cable, when we had the promo.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we had charter cable for real, but grandma caught a promo one time, finally got the box, didn't pay it, promo ended, took the boxes, never cut the cable off. We had cable for a long time because it never took the cable off. Yeah, we still the cable.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, grandma wasn't saying nothing. But anyway, real sex. Zane. Figured out Zane had a TV show on HBO. Yeah, I remember. Terrible.
Zane was on Cinemax.
She was on both. Yeah.
Anyway.
But it comes from like, I learned, pornography came from me on accident.
Same.
Because I was watching G4 TV, used to be the game channel. And I always tell you, it came from, there was a show on it called Street Fury. Mm-hmm. Street Fury was like this street car show. They showed street cars, mm-hmm, different places, different customizations. But then they always had a section where they had a model. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, cool. No matter. It was just one. I had crush on this one model because I kept watching the same episode. It just kept coming on TV. Because, you know, they ain't never do new episodes. They're just doing repeats. Ended up looking at this girl. She's Asian. Mm-hmm. Me, young, never seen Asian women for real. Only the black women and white people. Seldomly, but I saw them around. That's all I knew. And maybe a couple of Hispanic folks, maybe. Asian. Wow. Okay. Kept seeing them. Went to the computer one day. I was like, all right, let me Google it. She's a model. Mm-hmm. Me not knowing no better. Click a name on her website. You must be 18 years or older in the site.
Wow.
I'm like, what's this? Why I gotta be 18?
Right.
Okay. Close. Go back. Type it back in. Weeks later. You must be 18 years older.
Why must I be 18?
Why must I be 18? Look at this. Close it out. Granddad at home. He sleep. I ain't clicking it. You must be 18 years older.
Let's find out why she means.
I was like, how they gonna know if I'm not 18? I'll be 18 after a while. I was like maybe like 10.
After a while.
I think I was like 10, 11. Clicked it. Ruined my life ever since. Went in there, mind blown. Oh my God, saying so many images I don't need to see at my 10, 11-year-old age. Don't know better. Cool. That ended up going into seeing more models. I'm like, is there a trend? Maybe this model is not like that. No. Wow. All these models that they had on the show Street Fury just so happened to be porn stars.
Wow.
And they were not calling them that on the show. You just had to go find out. And that blew me. So, got caught up as a little kid. But then when I got a little older, I'm like 12. Aunt had bootlegs DVDs.
Oh, not the bootlegs.
I ain't gonna tell you which person it is, but one of my family members, one of my, folks, had bootleg DVDs. And I had a DVD player downstairs. And what I used to do is, because he used to have, it was a little cheap Walmart DVD player, like $30. But if you press the power button off, it cut the DVD off. So, but when you come back on, it had playback.
Okay.
So whenever I had to go to bed, or either had to go to school or whatever, and I watch something, all right, cool, cut the thing off, got playback, come back home from school or whatever, watch my movie, or my TV show, or whatever I had. Went downstairs, went to go plug in my stuff, I wanted to hit my movie, because I had got an anime or something, because Grandma had Netflix free trial, and I was like, ooh, yeah.
When Netflix was DVDs.
When Netflix was DVDs in the mail slot. Yeah. Thought I was on something. Went back down there, go watch a movie, click it on. Big Booty Something 3. Wow.
It's always the numbers.
Oh,
the numbers thing.
It's the numbers. At that point, that drove me down deeper.
Yeah.
So, you don't think growing up that these things affect you, because you're like, it's just media.
Yeah.
Then I learned in high school, first of all, low self-esteem goes into that.
Absolutely.
So, masturbation starts to come to it. Of course, you're in like middle school. It's the thing to do as a boy.
Yeah.
It's not even like for girls, it seems like, you shouldn't do that. For boys, boys gonna be boys type thing. And then it becomes a part of the conversation because middle school boys are nasty. I don't care what nobody says. Yeah. Middle school is a disgusting time.
Terrible.
It's the reason why Big Mouth is so popular.
Yes. Everybody knows it's awful.
Like, middle school is awful. I thought high school was bad. Middle school is trash.
But when you think about it, that's when the enemy strikes the hardest.
Because you in that transition to adulthood or puberty or whatever you want to call it. But you at that point where you smelling yourself. So get a couple heads in places you don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Smelling yourself literally too, because middle school y'all be stink.
Well, you gotta think, because little kid smells, you starting to get in that grown muss.
Yeah.
It ain't cute to be walking around with no deodorant. When you young, when you a little kid, it's like a little twang. Get to middle school, funk. But that besides coming to casual conversation, then depending on your environment, your school might not be the best environment. So in my middle school, we got pregnant girls and stuff like that. Yeah. So you learning about sex early. And then my middle school was a part of a high school. So we were never truly in middle school. So you interacting with all these older people. You got high schoolers, they middle school, which is problematic. But then you got folks doing stuff. Right. Got folks doing stuff, getting introduced to all this stuff, passing on knowledge. It is what it is. Play sports. Now you a part of the jock club. And the main thing you do is jock.
Poor girl.
Poor girl. It's what you do. And I mean, I wasn't really, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 17. But it wasn't even intentional. Like, mine was technically an assault. Because I didn't really give consent that day. But anyway. But that comes into the mindset of, you should not say no to this. I think we talked about this on the podcast a long time ago. Yeah. But the media and the influence of seeing stuff affected me all the way up until now. To where the demons build. Every time I thought I got rid of it when I was younger, it built up. Got a little bit older. Got a little bit more. Got rid of it. Built up. Now to the point to where if I could see the spiritual lens of the demons is probably outside my spiritual door to knock it down because of lust or immorality or whatever, probably 100-fold out there. Because every time I thought I got rid of it, he went and brought homeboys. And the thing about it is, prior to him, cool. Self-destruction in him, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anger in them, tight.
Yeah.
Hating them, real tight. The thing about it is, some demons, some spirits that attach certain stuff, you think they don't talk. Because you like, that don't go together. Lust and anger don't go together.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes, they do.
they cousins. They don't just go together. They family members.
Mm-hmm.
They them cousins you see at the cookout that always together, that pull up with the red eyes every time somebody disappear.
You want to know how? When y'all be in the relationships and y'all be having sex after an argument. And it happens every time. Like, every time there's an argument, y'all have sex right after to make up. Every time there's an argument, y'all have sex right after. It's like the spirits are coming together for a family reunion. It's like,
and that right there just had put me on game, because I'm just like, all right, cool. That's a mental check.
Yeah.
Because, that can happen. So that just taught me something right then. But because I've learned that when you feel hurt or you feel anger,
you need something to feel good.
You need something to feel good. Or either not just you want to make the other person feel good.
And that's how the low self-esteem ties in as well. Because when you don't feel good about yourself, you need something to make you feel good.
Well,
and that's why porn is so easy to turn to, because it's instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
When really the whole time you are something. I think God is allowing it because God is. It's a double-edged sword, because it's happening, but God, you have to understand some things God allows, and I think God allows some things because, especially with that, God is allowing it because it's like He's trying to get your attention and tell you need something more.
Mm-hmm.
You keep trying to get the more from porn, from sexual gratification, from an orgasm, from somebody holding you, from somebody touching you. You need me. Not me, but Jesus.
Right.
You need Jesus. And that's what God is trying to get you to understand. And so He's allowing this to happen in order for you to keep... And He allows it to be a cycle sometimes. Because
He's trying to teach you.
He's trying to teach you. He's like, until you sit and be like, okay, why is it that this keeps happening this way?
Mm-hmm.
Or why is it that I cannot get out of the grasp of porn? Why am I addicted to porn? It's because it is providing you something that you need. Ultimately, relief. I need to feel love. And sometimes we get into porn, we may get into porn addiction, fall into porn addiction because we need to feel love. And we don't want to face that we need to feel love, so we need something to distract us.
Or it's not even about love. Sometimes you be going through stuff and you like, I need some form of relief.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's not love. Sometimes you need to feel relief. And sometimes a demon will trick you and think, in order to feel relief, you must release. Mm-hmm. And not release in the way God really needs you to release. I'm going to make you bodily release. Because... And
how they get that, and how they get you with that is... Because... me being in health and wellness, I understand things like that.
I was just going to go there.
So I understand all that. Like, it releases these dopamines if you have this orgasm and all these endorphins, and you'll feel good, and you'll have stress relief and all of that. It lowers your risk of high blood pressure, all this other stuff.
But
But it comes attached with all of these demons and everything else. And then before you know it, you're addicted to porn. And I want to talk about it from, because you talk a lot about it from men's perspective. I want to talk about it from a woman's perspective. I was heavily into porn as a child. And even like you, it was by accident. Because I was already doing stuff I ain't had no business, because I was just getting up late. Well, I used to go into the living room when me and my mom were living with my grandparents when I was younger. I would go into the living room and watch TV with my grandma, because she's night owl, so she up late. Yeah. And so there was one night I remember that she was like, I'm gonna let you stay in here. I'll tell you, Mom. And so I was
that's our door.
And I was just I love my grandma, but I was just flipping through channels when she went to bed, and I ended up on HBO. This is when we had Bright House.
Ooh, not the Bright House.
And so I was just flipping through channels, and I landed on HBO. And I didn't know it was called Real Sex at the time. I just knew, naked people.
Yeah.
And really, I'm just curious about naked people. At the time, I'm just curious about naked people.
Why are people naked?
Why are people naked? I've never seen people. I've only seen me naked. Why are people naked?
Why are people just up in here naked?
Yes.
Naked. Why is the word naked so funny to
naked.
say? Naked. The word naked, but the South, naked.
Nekke. I did. Naked. But yeah, I and from there, I just remember being 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was like 4. So it started when I was 4. And I'm just like, okay.
See, my stuff
why are
started
people
like
naked?
that too, when I was... Now that I think about it, you just unlocked the memory. Dang. Movies.
Oh yeah, movies.
Sex scenes
Movies were my
little.
movies were my like sneak way to see.
Yes.
Like,
cause why y'all letting kids watch R-rated
starting
movies?
with Players Club and Baby Boy.
Yep, I didn't get to see Baby Boy. They closed the door on me on that one. They let me watch that one. But it was like my first R-rated film. I was 3 or 4 years old, and my mama and her boyfriend at the time took me to see Blade.
Not Blade.
And I'm like, this don't make sense.
I've actually never seen Blade.
It's a vampire movie, so it's the point of view.
That's
Blade.
true.
But it's like you took a 3 or 4 year old, I don't remember what age, I think I was 4, to see Blade, which has violence, gore, sexual activity, like lustful like scenes. Not saying they having sex, but that's the doorway.
Leadership, child.
4.
Leadership.
Like I'm watching the whole movie like this. Because I'm scared.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm seeing other things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, no, that's scary. He by between my fingers. Oh, what they doing? Why they biting on each other like that? That ain't drawing blood. Oh. 4. I'm 4. So that when you said you were 4, I was like, dang.
Yeah. And I just remember like between the ages of 9 and probably 17, like really being, well, really I say 15, and I say 15 because by 15 is when I started having sex. Mm-hmm. And so between 9 and 15, I am staying up late watching porn. By 12, I have an iPod, and so I'm watching porn on my phone, on my iPod now.
Oh, yeah, and
when the
touch iPod,
that's when the touch came. And so
age difference.
I'm staying up late watching porn, masturbating, and I'm not repenting every time, because repenting is turning away. But
what you thought was repentance?
What I thought was repentance at the time.
You were a kid.
Because I didn't have a relationship with God. I knew religion, but I didn't know God. And so, but I'm still feeling bad because I'm feeling like something that I'm doing is wrong. Like, this is wrong. Every time I would masturbate and watch porn, I would feel really bad. There were times where I would feel so bad that I would wake my mama up and tell her. I don't know if she remembered. And I would do that on purpose. I would go and tell her on purpose, like while she's sleeping, with the hope that she would not remember. But I felt so bad that I felt like I had to confess it. And then I would go right back to doing it. And and it followed me through college, but my college years was when I didn't really care. And there came a point where I did become very desensitized, because by the time I was in college, I started buying vibrators and stuff like that. And I couldn't. I did become a little bit desensitized, and I couldn't really experience pleasure in the way that I wanted to, because it just wasn't. It wasn't doing it for me the way I did it for me, and the way that porn did it for me. And so for any women who have experienced that, like I said, you talk about it a lot from a man's perspective, but I do want women to know, like, God delivers you from that as well. Like, if you are dealing with that, or have dealt with that, you're not alone in dealing with that. God delivers you from it. It is a task. Porn is not as bad for me now, but my downfall sometimes can be masturbation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well now, but like I almost had a slip up very recently. Which is part of like guarding your eyes and your ears and things like that, because what can get me is thinking about a memory or thinking about somebody from my past, or what it would be like when I get married. That's a slippery slope there, because it's like I ain't really thinking about nobody for real.
But it's the fantasy.
Yeah, and something else I learned is called what's called spiritual marriages. Where you are married in the spirit realm to a demon without your consent or without your intention. Like you don't even know, and a lot of times that can block marriages and future relationships from blossoming, and it can also cause infertility. Because there is this, even if again and how it happens. This is also connected to monitor spirits, because one way you know you have a monitor spirit is if you're having dreams where you're having sex, or dreams where you're eating. I don't have that. And you don't know like who. If I could be transparent, I've had those. I've had those recently. I've had those. Pray, ask God to like break whatever that is, because you know sex is marriage, and so ask God to break to not honor it. Like it's not honored by God anyway, but like in the spirit realm in general, sex is marriage. And so I've been having dreams where I am having sex with somebody and I don't know who it is. But what I began to learn is that can be a sign of, again, monitoring spirits. So there's a spirit connected to somebody that's watching me, or the demon is just sending a spirit to watch me.
And it's like the more, because in my relationship, the way I'll be looking at it now is, I'm trying to be more conscious about things that I deal in, because I don't want, and I think this is what makes me more, words, English language, something I want to use, more attentive, but more, I want to say gung-ho, because I can't come up with any other words, on trying to make sure whatever I'm dealing with or whatever I'm rectifying inside myself, I deal with, as far as praying certain things out of my life, doing stuff like that, because I don't want any of that to get on her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or on my family. Yeah. Or on my future family.
Yeah.
So I've been more, like this year, I have really did this thing to where I'm really dealing with whatever I got to deal with inside of me. Because she's at stake now. Yeah. And if this is the person that God has intended for me to get married to, which it is, we both have had that vision from him. Right. On who we are to each other. But because we're in this infant stage of still building, he's giving us a chance to really deal with.
Before we get there.
Before we get to marriage, he's giving me the opportunity to really clean up some stuff inside of me. Right. Still let me have the relationship, but he's working on us individually and together at the same time. Right. To really clean up some stuff. Like, hey, you done had pride for a long time. Can't have that trying to get married. Yeah. You done had, lust and stuff like that has affected you for a long time. Talk to me about it, because you can't have that with her. Type stuff. Because I've seen it. I've had past relationships now that I'm older and more wiser and went through some stuff. I can see it to where demons that I entertained affected my people. Or things that either demons I did not know were attached to me affected my people. Right. So I'm a little bit more self-conscious, well, not self-conscious, more conscious of that when dealing with stuff that I'm going through, because I know for essence, the devil sometimes will let a demon attached to your partner be there not for them, but to get to you. So because of that, I'm being way more conscious about really trying to clean stuff internally and spiritually with me, because I don't want any of that to affect her. Right. That hurts me to even think about. Because I'm just like, nah, I don't want my sexual immorality problems to be the reason why she may be dealing with some stuff. Right. So it's like, that's just a wake up call that I've been getting. Like, all right, look, cut that out.
Right.
Because that might be affecting her. Cut that out.
Right.
And the thing about it is, sometimes when you're in relationships, your partner might be getting affected with stuff. They don't know why. Mm-hmm. But then you're held accountable because you know why.
Yeah.
Even if they don't say nothing, you know something off. So it's like, now it's like, all right, cool. Because I'm a little bit more attentive to that, and it's been like something that's been on my heart like last month or so. It's like, all right, God, you giving us this time. Because one thing we've noticed in our relationship is, because we've lost certain parts of relationship stuff when we were younger, due to either bad relationships, demonic stuff that may have been happening in relationships and spirits and stuff like that. He's given us a chance to, and this is something I'm going to give to the listeners too. When you finally get with your person and the person that God intended for you, you get a redo. So there's going to be stages of your relationship where you're going to feel like, oh, this feel like middle school. This feel like high school. This feel like college. This feels like, oh.
It's like restoration.
You get a redo on those particular relationship moments that you may have done wrong with somebody during that time, or didn't get a chance to experience that. Yeah. Once you get with your person, he will literally give you a redo. And it will come. I would literally say, right now, me and baby, we are in college mode. And we are adults. Like, we study together, do work together, stuff like that. And it be feeling like we even walk places, we have backpacks on, stuff like that. And I'd be like, we had a conversation, but I was like, dang, this feel like college. And like, it was weird because in my head, I see Love and Basketball.
Oh, wow.
When they was in the college scene, they go tumble in the grass and all the other stuff. I was just like, I'm getting that as a young adult. Like, at this age, I ain't been through college.
Well, that gives me hope.
But just, it's going to be moments the way it's going to be like, you're going to be with your person. Y'all caking on the phone. You feel like you in middle school. Hours on end. You ain't got nothing to do tomorrow. Yeah, you got a job. but you got energy.
You got a job.
But then it's like other times you're like, okay, we're in high school. Got a little date here and there, but we only got so much time together. Might do a little house sitting, old school stuff. Yeah. Cool. Then you get to college and now y'all getting a little bit more independent. House visits, come see each other, cook dinner and all of this stuff. Go study or either go do work on work stuff together. It comes. So like for all, this is my little bit of hope when it comes to relationship. Although we talking about all the dark stuff.
Yeah.
Once you get with your person, God give you your person, you will get a redo. Okay. I pray for everybody that feels like they have missed out on love or forms of love with other people or the wrong people and never experienced it, that God gives you a redo. Because it's an amazing thing.
I receive that in Jesus' name.
So don't feel like you're missing out on nothing now. Because when that person comes, you will definitely get a redo. You're going to experience everything you thought you missed. Which is why I try to be careful on what I deal with. Because I ain't got time for that to rub on our heart.
Yeah. And that's like, even with me right now, I'm like, because some of the dreams, like some of the sexual dreams that I have, they are people. Sometimes they're people from the past, and that's how I know like there's a soul tie still there.
Yep.
And so I really gotta pray on that, and so because I thank God for this time for that, because if I were to be in a relationship or if I were to have my person right now, and be going through that, oh no. So I think singleness is for a reason. Not just like to get yourself together on a practical level.
It's on a spiritual level. And then I will also tell people this too. Your single season may not be as long as everybody else's.
Yeah.
Because some people be putting folk,
or it may be longer than everybody.
Right. And some folks be putting their single season on other people talking about, well, I was single for a year before I got da-da-da-da. Listen, your person can come after you've been single for a month.
That's true.
Depending on if God done worked on you the way He supposed to have.
Right.
Like, some folks be saying, oh, you got in a relationship, da-da-da-da. When He send your person, don't play. Lock that down. Cause like, bro, when you know and that person knows, listen, your single season can be 15 years. when the sentiment ended, might be 2 months, might be 3 days. We don't know.
That's true.
Whatever timeline of God, because it's what He decide. Because when He decide, He send them. Tell me.
That's true.
As soon as you work on whatever He telling you to work on, as far as like to get to that point, boom, here they come. Telling you, I went on a whole 7 months sabbatical, 8 months sabbatical technically, but I ain't started getting myself together until like month 6.
Yeah.
No, I would say I was starting to get myself together month 4. No, month 3. Person came back into my life month 4. Didn't really come into my life in relationship terms until, or had the idea of it until month 6. Didn't get into a full-blown relationship until month 8. So, depends. Whatever God working on you with, if you think about relationship stuff and you want to be in a relationship so bad, look, listen. Work on whatever He tell you to work on. Bet money.
I need me and Jesus right now. I don't need nobody else right now. Just Jesus.
Don't do yourself like that.
At the moment, I just need
Jesus. I'm saying you, don't do yourself like that.
And that's just because it's just because I'm realizing like a lot of stuff. Like I need a lot of work. Like God got some stuff to do.
Listen. As somebody who has gone through that, sometimes the work ain't just for you and God to work on. Because sometimes your person helps you to work on that stuff with you.
I think it's, I don't know. I can't say.
I'm going to say the same way you said don't speak certain stuff over you. Don't do that to yourself because He will keep you in a single season for a long time because you keep saying that.
That's true. That's true.
I'm not saying that you don't have work to do, but coming from somebody that was literally in the midst of doing the work and then they came.
It's just like every time every time I realize something, I'm like, dang.
But the thing about it is that it's okay to realize it. It's not something to be like, oh, let me tag on more time to my singleness because I ain't got it right.
That's true.
Nah.
See, whatever God's will be done.
Because the thing about it is, your person, you and your person not going to be perfect people, but you're perfect for each other. So that means whatever problems that you have that you feel like you have will be simple situations for that person.
Oh.
Because somebody else's problem, another person, oh, all right.
Okay.
Oh, see
That's
that?
true.
Oh, okay. Like, you got that to deal with? Okay. Because I'm telling you, when your right person come along, the conversation evolves into what can they deal with? Because some things for another person are complete deal breakers. Yeah. Some stuff for your right person is, oh, I can fix that. And not even I can fix that. God can help me help you fix that. Yeah. Or, oh, that's what you deal with? Oh, I used to deal with that. There's some things I used to deal with, da-da-da-da. Because I ain't going to lie. I learned stuff from my partner and to help me deal with stuff out there. That helped me deal with stuff that I thought that I couldn't be in a relationship with another person until I fixed it. Got a relationship with her. Oh, that's what I need to be doing? Oh, appreciate it. Don't mean that. Ooh, boom, dunked it. So don't be sitting there thinking like, oh, I got all this stuff I need to work on by myself. Come forward, God need to send me a person. I'm real broken. Listen, sometimes you may be broken. God a glass maker. He'll remake the glass, but also sometimes he got an apprentice. And the apprentice is your partner. And the partner gonna come in and be like, oh, that little chip, she acting like it's a big old piece of glass. Man, you got a scratch. Rub. Slide in. Back together. Yeah.
Well, before we close,
so we ain't get the number we poked up.
Let's just get to. Actually, we did, but we missed out on the. Let's finish
the letters.
Let's get some more of these letters in. So we have. Let's see, jealousy or judgmentalism.
I feel like judgmentalism breeds jealousy.
Okay, so judgmentalism.
Okay, that's one.
So there's lack of spiritual endowments.
That's L, so we in the L, okay. No, wait.
So,
J.
J. K.
K.
There is no K.
There's no K. I feel like there needs to be a K.
There's no K.
Hold on. Let's think about it. Because I don't like stuff not being complete. It bothers me. K.
We could say kindred spirits. There we go.
Nope. Give me a second. Give me about 15 seconds. Give me a countdown. This is sad.
What's that? Is that deal or no deal? That's deal or no deal.
Ooh, it's a phrase.
What?
It's a phrase.
What is it?
Killing yourself. The reason why I say that, if we talking about warfare, manipulation will have you. The enemy will set you up.
But I'm sure suicide is in there.
Well, no, because here's the thing. Trigger warning, people.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's in here.
Suicide might be in there because that's a complete action.
But the thought... it says suicidal thoughts.
Suicidal thoughts.
It's in there.
But killing yourself slow is different. It's like poison. Or cutting. Or other things. The thing about it is, the enemy manipulates you into making you feel like...
Well, you know. Because we can talk about that.
Oh, Lord.
Because when you think about killing yourself slowly, you can think about the systems that have been placed in place as far as the government is concerned. They are in place in order for us to kill ourselves slowly.
So we already been manipulated by the enemy.
If you think about the FDA and pharmaceutical companies and all of that is linked in.
You gonna get us shut down.
All of it is tied together. I ain't scared of nobody.
I ain't scared of none of you.
But yeah, all of that stuff is tied together in order to
program automatically set your kids up for
nutritional
failure.
Even the school to prison pipeline, like these are systems set in place in order for us to kill ourselves slowly. But thank God for Jesus.
It saves us immediately.
Yes.
Because we in a world full of dysfunction.
Because what I'm also learning as I'm going down my Illuminati rabbit hole is how
be careful.
All of this, you're right. I still ain't scared of nobody. There are, if you want to talk about how the country is quote unquote founded on Christian principles, if you really want to get into it, just research the founding fathers. That's all.
I'm not tainting my browser.
You right.
I'm mad they on my money. That's why root of all evil got the founding fathers on it.
There's a reason for
that. Not all of them, but some of them presidents. Trash.
There's a reason for that.
Was Ulysses Grant a bad president?
I don't know.
So I just really need to get the Benjamins because he was never president. Get $100. Bow. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on
I
that.
hate the dollar.
Yeah, our government is really not. The government is not your friend.
Government ain't never been our friend.
Black, white, or otherwise. To be honest, the government is not your friend.
They for the 1%ers only. It's crazy how the 1% dictates and try to say they need the poor. That's a whole other conversation for another day. The squad is gonna be about God. We're gonna talk about real, but listen. I want my opinion.
But it's the physical manifestation of what's taking place in the spiritual.
Exactly. I'm just saying that's the reason why I ain't got on all black no more. Don't make me go back. You know me. I'll put you know me.
Anyway, let's finish real quick. So we stopped at K where we made a K.
Boots on ready.
We made a K. So more weapons of mass destruction include. So what's a big one? Are we going to do lack of spiritual endowments, lack of submission to authority?
Ooh. That might be the one.
That might be the one because you got to submit to God.
Not submitting to him is what leave you open to all this other stuff.
Yep. So lack of submission to authority. So then we got.
That's also go with military tactics because the moment you betray your superior.
Yep.
Or you not obeying what your superior tell you, might put yourself in harm's way. Dang.
So then we got. Because there's manipulation, but then there's materialism, which is a form of manipulation.
So I think manipulation.
But then there's miseducation, which is a form of manipulation.
It's manipulation.
Miseducation is long. But the description of it is long.
But then we should probably break that down one day then.
Yeah.
But manipulation, I feel like
misfortunes, mistrust.
Ooh, manipulation.
Moving out of the timing of the Lord. You trying to do things on your time and not on God's time.
I'm gonna need to read that on off the podcast.
Okay.
Might need that for myself.
So then we move to end.
Negligence gotta be in there somewhere.
No, just negativity and nets. Nets? What are nets? Nets are things Satan places in your life that lead to situations from which escape is difficult.
Trapping you.
Cycles.
Yep. So we're going with nets.
Nets.
Let me write this down.
So for O, we got obsession, offenses, oppression, overt operations.
And me and oppression be a thing.
That's it. So there are times when Satan's attack upon you requires a less than obvious tactic.
Oh, what did it say? Say it again.
Overt operations. There are times when Satan's attack upon you requires a less than obvious tactic.
Right.
But equally, there are other times when his attack is in your face,
blatantly obvious
and obvious. This is what I call an overt attack. It is bold and brazen, and Satan definitely wants to get the glory.
That's the one.
Overt operations.
So we on P. Oh.
Perversions.
Hold up. JKLMNOP. We got two more.
Okay. Perversions, possession, poverty, prejudice, pride, projections, provocation.
Why provocation screaming at me?
A provocation is that is not protruding, perturbing stimulus that intentionally incites or rouses you to actions and activities that are usually diametrically opposed to the will of God.
Sounds like a wonder to me. Do we have keywords?
Oh, it's just being provoked.
Yeah, provocation. Yeah. Is there keywords?
No.
I can't do that one. Questioning.
Ain't doubt in there though. That's doubt.
But I don't think we had doubt as a D word, did we? Or did we?
I believe it.
Yeah.
Let me see.
But I feel like doubt is one thing, but when you start like really, really questioning stuff.
But even questioning, like, God, I think God allows questions. You don't question God, but like.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like as a manipulation tactic of the enemy, he will make you question your authority.
Oh.
And that's why I would say it's a slippery slope, because think about it. The enemy questioned God.
That's true.
So I think doubt and questioning, although they kind of go together.
Well, did the enemy question God, or did he just say,
he not on the question God.
I want to be you, or I want to be like you?
But the thing about it is, what he make the other angels think.
That's true.
Is he better than God? It's the same question.
So,
I think, hold on.
We got R. R and S.
OPQR. Go on. I had R.
Okay. So R, we got trigger warning. We have rape, rebellion.
Ooh, that rebellion.
Regret, rejection, religiosity.
Well.
Resentment.
Well.
Retaliation.
Can we get the whole R section?
That's it.
I was gonna say, can we get the whole R section?
That's fine too.
Cause sheesh, all of them hit. I don't know if there's a particular one, but so we just gonna say for the letters
R,
or we say aura. Just saying.
That is some old country.
So
Aura.
Yeah, aura.
Q aura S T
A B. Let me see. A B C D E F G
H I J K L M.
First of all, you disrespectful. You disrespectful.
N O P Q R.
To disrespect. S T U V W. It came and I didn't even try.
W.
Aura and W. W.
Y.
So Aura, W,
Y.
Y.
Not Y.
Y. Z. Ooh, this English language. Garbage.
That's all we got for tonight, y'all.
A, B, C, D,
or for today, whenever you're listening.
H, I.
I.
Yeah. I. Yeah. J, K, L. L. Once it's L.
L.
L. M. N. O.
Y'all have a good night, good day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Really think on these things. Pray. Ask God to reveal some more things to you about spiritual warfare. Share them with us. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, so that we can connect and have these conversations. And really, really be a squad outside of the show. That's all.
Yeah.